So a lot of individual characters, right, that allow us to continue to come back and say, hey, we're very attracted to this. This gives me something to cling to in my life through this character. A lot of cosplayers identify incredibly strongly with very specific characters, right? But it may relate to the character may have had a similar backstory to something that happened in their own lives. And they saw how the character came through that, and maybe that inspired them. What is it about Superman? I see two big S's in the room. What is it about Superman that makes you guys so attracted to Superman?
Stands for truth and justice.
Truth, justice, in the American way, with a little flag at the end of the TV show, or at the beginning of the TV show. Okay? During the McCarthyism days. There you go. And that's a reflection of the times in itself right there. Right?
So,
yeah,
but the two characters, Batman and Superman themselves, Batman is the character that's lurking in the background, changing things, and Superman is the let's take the high road, follow me, boys.
Okay,
Well, yeah,
but
Boy Scout.
okay, let's get away. I want to shut this off on you. I don't want you to see something. How do I make that happen? Oh my gosh, they're going to let me touch technology.
Just lift the cover over.
Okay, I pressed the button. I can't guarantee what happens after that. Batman and Superman. Let's look at the two main characters for a minute. We'll get away from the academic-y hoo-ha. We'll still be an academic-y hoo-ha, but not the way you think. Batman and Superman are both very powerful and attractive superheroes. Batman has no superpower per se, does he?
Nope.
Nothing.
He's a genius.
He's got some fancy technology,
Yeah.
right? He's got a lot of technology at his
He needs
disposal.
that money for medical bills, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, medical bill cash. Yeah. Well, now wait a minute. Batman isn't making an income. He's sucking up Bruce Wayne's
Exactly.
millions. Well, you know how eccentric millionaires are. They got nothing else to do,
Tony Stark.
right?
Fight crime.
There was a guy in Simi Valley down in Southern Cal, and I kept wondering about this area he had carved out in different pictures all the time as you drove by. Somebody told me he was like beyond millionaire, and he had nothing else to do with his money. So Batman said, "Hey Bruce, you got all this cash laying around. Guess what I'm going to do with it? I may as well have fun." Right? But looking at the characters, Batman doesn't have any real super abilities. Superman only has his abilities because he's from another planet. Both of them lose their parents in different ways. But how have they each dealt with it? And how is that expressed through what develops as Batman, what develops as Superman, and furthermore, how that relates to Gotham and Metropolis as the cities. Gotham is very dark.
Mm-hmm.
Batman is dark. Batman is full of anger and rage. And as he grows up watching all of this unfold, he never lets go of that. He's upset about how his parents were taken. He's upset about all the crap that's going on in Wayne Industries that he finds out about. It's like, oh my gosh, the whole corporation. Well, it's no different than any other corporation. And, well, that's very true to life. Wayne Industries and all the inner workings, all the wheeling and dealing and the politics and the whole 9 yards, right? But he never lets go of the anger and the rage, and he sees these things happening to his city around him and how Gotham has become. And he wants to fight back at it. There's a great scene, and you know what I'm talking, because I told you when I was sitting at my table. I love this scene. I'm always going to love this scene. It's the Tim Burton scene, the Tim Burton Batman with Michael Keaton, when he's confronting the Joker at the end. And it's that whole confrontation where Joker says to him that you created me. Batman looks at him and says, you created me first. And it's like, oh my gosh. And and all the rage comes out of him as he fights against the Joker in the rest of that film. And you can see just the term Dark Knight epitomizes who Batman is. The darkness of Gotham City epitomizes who Batman is. And all of his rage, and all that he's fighting against. I mean, Gotham really consumes this character. And the city and the man become one. He becomes Gotham, and Gotham can't exist without Batman. It's like they have one shared identity. Where it all goes, who knows? We've seen different paths in, the comics, the graphic novels, TV, film. Superman, now what's his deal? How does he turn out as and a lot of people who do good are driven by anger and rage. It's, are you going to go down the path of doing something positive with that anger and rage, or are you going to do something negative with that anger and rage? Batman's an interesting character, though. It's never really clear-cut, good guy that comes out of him, I don't think, in any version. No? It's always this dark, pent-up anger, even though he's doing good. Lot of smarts. Ounce of superpower in the guy. Yeah.
60s, right? 60s Sony's TV version.
Oh,
he wasn't dark like that.
No, he wasn't. That was, you know what? And that's another good reflection of they tried to put the times in a sense. Not so much a reflection of all the social movements of the 60s, but a reflection of we're trying to instill family values in the 60s. They had the whole hippie go-go thing going on, of course.
Well,
Right, but he was taking care of Robin. He was trying to make sure he went to school on time. And,
Yeah.
he's like, you can't fight crime right now, Robin. You have to go to school. It's like, I'll be there with you, but...
Drinking your milk. Yeah, drinking your milk,
Yeah.
eating your vegetables, wearing this. Oh, that's right, Batman. Safety first.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The cartoons too of that time, the 70s, was the same, mirrored that.
Yeah.
that action.
They've always. That's what I mean. That's what classifies this, or allows it to be classified legitimately as contemporary myth. Always reflecting the times, and always providing us a message about those times, and maybe even a little beyond, to help us try to pick up those messages and do something to continue to strive towards the society we really want, and to become the people we want to be. And I think the Batman character not having physical superpowers, using his smarts to develop all of the bat technologies that he's developed, and the cave and everything else and the kind of training he went through to become, the crime fighter that he became. That takes an enormous discipline and focus. Something that, we see Alfred, in Gotham trying to instill in Bruce. Because you can't, Muhammad Ali, how many of you know the Muhammad Ali story? Muhammad Ali had a lot of anger and rage. The day he got his bicycle stolen in front of some store he was at, he went to see this cop who was running some class in the gym, and he was furious. He wanted to go out there and find somebody and beat him up. The guy took him in and says, well, before you do anything, you got to learn how to fight. You know how to fight? No, you don't know how to fight. I show you how to fight. And he redirected all of that. So somehow, in all of this, that Alfred character, to me, is the person that redirects Batman to refocus that in a more positive way. Otherwise, I think, Bruce would have unraveled at a point. So I think that the Alfred character is very much the mentor that takes him in that direction, to allow him to be the superhero in that sense. And any kid watching that knows he doesn't breathe fire, he doesn't turn into anything, and he can't fly, but look at what he's developed, and look at what he's done with it. So I think that alone is very powerful. Superman, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask, do you think that because of the fact that Batman is essentially a regular person while Superman has some intrinsic power, if Batman's more accessible to kids?
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. And maybe that's what the reason is right there. In terms of Superman, now, his parents die. His whole planet's gone. He even has to fight his own people. And look at what he decides to do. He decides to choose the humans and embrace his new world. The only world he's really known. But he doesn't have that anger and rage that Batman has. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. He committed genocide. That's kind of anger and rage there. Yeah, in the new movie with genocide.
Yeah.
He destroys the
Yeah.
pods where they have the babies.
Yeah,
The embryos.
yeah, yeah.
That was surprised when I saw that part of the movie. They
But
don't
what-
change the
what-
characters.
What are you talking about?
Man of Steel.
Yeah,
He's-
Man of Steel.
Kills the pods?
Yeah, because they're terraforming the planet to
Yeah.
return it back into a new Krypton, pretty much.
Yeah.
With the thoughts of
They were inside the ship, and I guess when he destroyed that, so he commits genocide to stop another genocide?
Basically, yes. But, you know, he's weighing the cost and benefits here.
Yeah.
You gotta figure he only knows one life. He doesn't know the Kryptonians.
He doesn't know anything about
He
them.
never grew up in that culture. He doesn't know these
As far as
people.
he's concerned.
And his encounter with them isn't exactly the most positive.
Yeah.
He sees the woman that raised him as his mother
Because according to them, they couldn't procreate.
in a lot of trouble here. And, you know, the people that he's grown up with it took him a long time to come to terms with, you know, finding his path too. I think that's something also that's very attractive about the Superman character, especially in Man of Steel. Very well done. I mean, does Clark grow up and all of a sudden, hey, I'm going to be this cool reporter and get this awesome job? We see him struggle quite a bit because he doesn't understand who he is. He's picked on in school. Smallville. That was so well done. And I think a lot of kids can identify with the struggle that Clark goes through to become who he is. But he comes through all of that. And so when you see this issue of genocide, you know, he's making a choice. You know what? Yeah, I've been through a lot of crap. There's a lot of bad people in this human world. But look at how many people have been good and good to me, and I've had this great life. Maybe it's growing up on that farm in Kansas. I don't know. I've seen the Midwest. Yeah, but
I think you just said it right there.
yeah,
If you draw the line in between the two, the start thing to me is also one was a baby who was adopted, the other one's a trauma survivor.
yeah.
If you look at that,
There's a huge difference.
I mean,
Huge
that right there
difference.
is-
And now he sees, you know, even though Superman went through all that,
Right.
you know, he's able to come out of it and say, you know what, this is my world. And I, you know, he's had a good life. He really has been well provided for, well cared for. And he's decided to protect the humans that have protected him. And he sees what they're about to do to that world and what the end result would be. He doesn't want any part of that. He doesn't know that cultural identity. And he's already got his well established by the time he's Superman. And I think that's one of the things I really liked about Man of Steel. We watch him develop that identity. In a very short period of time, you watch him go from job to job, you know, running away, hiding out, different things that happen to him, to this, hey, Mom, this is what I'm going to go off and I'm going to do this and I'm going to still do something really positive. And then in the end, when he has to make that choice, you know, he makes one that is really for the greater good of the people that have taken care of him. Yeah? No?
Well, I see it also in the Superman movie, with the 70s, 80s movie.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve. Let's go back.
When he was Clark Kent, the glasses and the suit, he was
Yeah.
almost bumbly, kind of like, these silly humans, let me just kind of go. But when, like, the one where his glasses fell in the fire, and all of a sudden he's all serious, this is who I am. It's
Yeah.
like, so you see humans as these silly little things that you're going to be bumbly, and now when you're yourself, you're...
Yeah. When he's able to be who he is, he's a very different person. So he found a way to be who he was, and express that in a more positive way without all that anger. And, you know, he could have, you know, yes, one's a trauma survivor, one was adopted as an infant, but you got to figure, even kids that go through that much bullying and know they're so different in society, not everybody comes out of it as positive as Superman has. So what did he do differently? Or what was different about him? He realized he had an ability to do good for people. That hits him, and he strives for that. You know, when he realizes, this is who I am, this is what I can do with this. So why don't I try that? And that works for him.
Yeah, I was gonna say the whole fumbly bumbly thing. I don't think it was necessarily him saying, well, this is what humans are like, it was part of his disguise of, well, if I'm fumbly bumbly, people won't realize that I'm really strong and
Strongest being on the planet.
strongest being
People
on the
won't
planet.
know. Yeah, people
Yeah,
Yeah,
won't
because the
notice.
eyeglasses were definitely.
That's what it is. He's hiding what's different about him.
Yeah, that's
He's trying to fit in
And,
more.
and Christopher Reeve did such a good job
Yeah.
of differentiating the characters so that you wouldn't necessarily think that they're the same guy.
Well, and I think the comics have done a good job
Yeah.
over the years with developing that same thing with that character, which is why you see these expressions in the films at the times you do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, my point kind of builds off of that is, there was a lot of criticism coming into the 80s and 90s that, what, is this how Superman sees humans? And that's one of the reasons I really hate the last scene of Kill Bill Part 2. Because, he goes off about this long tangent about how this is how Superman sees humans. Except, I don't think that necessarily holds true, because Superman is fake. Clark Kent is real.
Oh.
The reverse is true with Batman. Bruce Wayne is the disguise. Batman is who came out of that alley.
Yeah.
That's his motivation. Whereas Clark Kent is probably more like the actual personality that Superman is.
Okay.
Well, depending on which period. I mean, definitely
Yeah.
in the John Byrne and forward,
Yeah.
it's that case. Earlier,
I think it's based off of the people criticizing the early Clark Kent as being the way he was. People kind of made that decision to make Clark Kent the real person. Because it makes sense,
Yeah. Well, what about the 1950s, the TV show with George Reeve?
Yeah.
What about that Clark Kent
Yeah.
and that Superman?
The one that looked like a dad in a Superman outfit.
Yeah, that
I
one.
still like that outfit.
Yeah.
No, it's a nice outfit.
look at it.
It's just it just looked like a dad in one.
But getting back to the myth,
Yeah, go back there.
the myth part of this, you look at the fact that Superman was raised in an agrarian-based society, and Batman
He's raised
is
in the
raised
urban
in
environment.
right. And if you actually look at our political situation where we're at, you'll discover that blue states or democratic states are typically where there's a heavy amount of population, and the red states or Republican states are where there's wide distances between people.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have that group along that lines with the agrarian person. Superman goes to the city to do good. Batman was already in the city, and now he's trying to deal with the
yeah.
situation that he was in,
And-
and it's how can you
There's a riddle by the Riddler, and I don't know, I'll put it out here to you guys. And I mentioned it, I kind of alluded to it a little while ago. When is a man a city, and when is a city a man? You look at Superman and Metropolis. Yeah, that's a city, but it's beautiful. It's happy. You talk about being raised in that rural environment, which tends to be more Republican, more conservative, What about that Metropolis? And the two of them are intertwined, Superman and that city. He becomes Metropolis the same way Metropolis becomes a reflection of Superman. Same thing with Batman and Gotham, that anger, that rage, as Bruce is growing up in that, he becomes consumed by it, and the two become intertwined as he continues on as Batman to fight against it. But it never goes away in either of them. And I think that is a reflection of the greater society. How easy is it for us, as a general population, to be consumed? You turn on the news, how do you feel after that? How many people have stopped turning on the news? Sometimes. I know we've all stopped turning on Fox News. Maybe not, maybe not. Okay, but we seem to have a general consensus in them, so that's good. Okay. Occasionally I get a little too zealous. Yeah.
So getting back to the idea of
Yeah,
the myth,
the idea
right?
of myth now.
Of the fact that one man can make the difference.
Yeah.
And that's
And I think that's what the hardcore message is either way. Now, what do you think about the characters and their respective cities? Why is Metropolis so glaringly pristine?
Because Superman is.
They're one and the same.
Yeah.
They're one and the same. Do-gooder city. When cities, from everything we know about the city life and the city culture, should be really more like Gotham. And our own society really today is more like Gotham. You know, it's probably always been more like Gotham. Right? The corrupt politicians, the police forces, the corporate deals, and now we've reached a level of big government and corporate control. And this intertwining of the corporations and the politicians and who's putting money in whose pockets and making what deals. And we're the ones that, get hit for it. Yeah, suffer for it. But not everybody notices this anymore, and why not? So how do you create a pristine city in a culture that shouldn't be like that? A city culture should not be pristine. It should not be as happy and as egalitarian as it comes off in the Superman franchise, from everything we know about that type of culture. So how does this happen? Yeah.
If you look back at the Christopher Reeves movies, he did confront robbers or some type of accident type of thing, but it's very minuscule compared to what you see in the Batman type of films.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you look at it at the point of direction they want to go with the character versus Superman doing the bigger picture versus Batman doing more of the intermediate and smaller issues.
Yeah, and I think it also comes back to that issue of dystopia and utopia. Depending on your outlook and your approach, you've got the utopian outcome in an environment that shouldn't be like that. Over here in Gotham, you've got a closer view of what I think has been the reality for some time. And this is what we're living in. And so if you put them side by side, you say, well, gosh, how do we get rid of big government? All this oppression, all the corrupt police, the corrupt politicians, get rid of the corporate control. How do we get rid of this? Well, maybe the message is sitting in Superman.
You have LexCorp.
Yeah, you got LexCorp. You got to have something juicy in Superman.
There'll never be I don't think there'll ever be a 100% utopia where no one's going to rob the bank or no one's going to...
But it's not what Gotham... Yeah, it's not what Gotham is. I think it's more of what we could create if we cleaned up this. And we strive for that. And so I think combining the two provides an even more powerful myth for us to utilize in that sense.